Life sciences companies are under constant pressure to bring systems, equipment, and facilities online efficiently without compromising quality, compliance, or inspection readiness. That's why Verista created SME Insights Perspectives, a video series featuring subject matter experts who provide practical guidance on the issues shaping the industry. In this episode, we're joined by Greg White, a Verista subject matter expert in CSV and CQV.
My name is Greg White. I'm a lead validation engineer at Verista, and that role encompasses being a consultant to our clients for specifically laboratory needs. We have other CQV and CSV people as well, but I primarily focus on just labs. Do instrument validations, software validations, protocols, etc. And it also depends on the client project size. If they're very large projects involving hundreds of pieces of equipment, sometimes I also act as a project manager. And as far as my experience, about 26 years in the industry total, and 5 years with Verista. The labs have come a long way in the last so many years, but these days, most instruments or nearly all are software driven. So you can't really have an instrument in the lab as far as producing data, operating the methods without software. So they are naturally entwined. You can't have one without the other. And as far as the validation efforts go, modern guidances are kind of helping that as well. For example, from the FDA, we have a guidance for CSA, and then also from ISPE, we have the Pharma 4.0 initiative, and it kind of pushes these two together. And there's also digital tools that help this process, such as Neat or Valgenesis. They kind of help to automate the process, meld the two processes together, and also make it such that the user that's executing it will have a step-by-step guide as they go through the process, kind of make it foolproof. Working together is very important for CSV and CQV. If you're not aligned, you're going to lose efficiency for the most part. You could have scheduling conflicts. If the two teams are not communicating, you may not know that the system is being used by the other team on that particular day to do some of their testing, and so it messes up your plans, vice versa. And then also you could have redundancy in the test scripts that are actually executed. You could test the same thing twice, both teams performing those tests. You only need to do it once, so it's good to make sure that they're in alignment, that they know who's doing what. And then also for the traceability matrix, kind of the opposite of what I just described. You could actually miss on testing something if one team is under the assumption that the other team is covering a particular requirement. One of the key benefits there is to avoid missing out on certain design flaws. If these teams are not brought in early together, working with the overall project teams, you could have something where a system is installed, but the design for the overall process was not thought out correctly. For example, you may not have a significant amount of supplied vacuum pressure or house air or whatever for an instrument, and once you install it, everything's already built. It doesn't work because there was a design flaw there that was missed. And having the CQV and CSV teams there together at the beginning could avoid such a situation. An example for the CSV teams obviously wouldn't be vacuum pressure, but perhaps LAN ports available for connecting instruments that are software driven. First thing that comes to mind is confidence. The client will gain confidence or maintain confidence in you as a service provider if you have a project that's got CSV and CQV aligned, everything's will flow smoother. You'll have less surprises, hiccups along the way. So if they see a nice smooth running engine, they'll have confidence in what you're doing. And then also efficiency as far as the timeline goes. We talked earlier about redundancy in testing or scheduling conflicts. If those are an issue, obviously you're going to go slower. Then budget. Everything is, pharma companies are in business to produce drugs that improve patients' lives, but to do so, they need to be financially feasible. And time is money. So if you're being more efficient, you're maintaining budget, you can continue producing those drugs. So I think that the first thing to consider that's important is, one, have a URS. Simply have a URS. In my experience, I've done projects before where there was no URS to start with, and also none asked for. So I was writing protocols with specifications based on what I decided was correct. Obviously, clients would review and approve it, but it's a lot more efficient if you have a URS to begin with. And also, a URS should be done by you. It's something I would like to say. You're the user, you know what you need. It's a lot more efficient if you produce the URS. Obviously, I can help consult and help along the way, but at the end of the day, it's for what your needs are. I guess another thing to be considered is use that URS first, then use that to determine whatever it is that you're buying, an instrument, a software application. Don't do it the other way around. Don't buy a system and then generate a URS based on what you got. At the end of the day, sometimes you will not be able to meet the needs because you did not look at your requirements before you bought the instrument. You can generate a protocol to pass that instrument, but if it's not what you need, it doesn't help you. Another thing is to make sure that URS includes both functional and compliance requirements. And all people in the business of laboratory compliance should know this. It's a well-known guide from the FDA. Comes with the acronym of ALCOA. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of that, and to spell that is ALCOA. And the A stands for attributable. In other words, anything that's performed, anything that's done, you have to know who did it. That's covered with usernames, passwords, and electronic signatures, and user access controls. The second one, the L, legible, just like it sounds. It must be available in a human readable form. For electronic data systems, a key part there is to consider is the templates that generate the reports. You have to make sure that they are formatted correctly so that the data isn't cut off, and also you don't have overlapping or overlaying data. Continuing on, spelling, contemporaneous. In other words, the data must be recorded in real time, not later, not before, certainly, but real time. And as far as CSV goes, this is electronic data, so you need to have timestamps associated with each action, and they have to be automatic. You can't choose to record date and time of a certain event. It should be built in. Every action has a timestamp associated with it. And then original, the first data, the raw data, once you acquire it, it needs to be maintained and saved as a file that is never changed. You can, for example, on chromatography data, reprocess to change the way a peak is integrated, but that generates a new file. The original file is never overwritten. And then accurate, just make sure that it's factually correct. Calculations that generate results from that raw data, they have to be validated, and you need to, as far as the software application goes, the user interactions with it, you want to limit as much as possible any manual entries or edits. From a first-hand perspective, I think that it's confidence in the work that's performed. You want to be right first time. You want to do it in a timely manner and keep you on budget, and then be compliant in the work that you do.